Capsule actually started as a millwork company. We went into hospitality first, kind of like food service, really dense assemblies. The evolution of it was always towards healthcare and housing. It was several years of development to get this product line together for residential, and we've since patented it. We use Howick assemblies as part of it. In a production builder home, this island would be probably about 5 different companies. When you look at there's framing and electrical and plumbing and finish and stone, and we deliver it as an assembly of parts. Altogether, it's based around ease of installation, and you can kind of see that as we take it apart, things either clip or they're magnetic. This island would be a highly reproduced product, piece of equipment, basically, to lock all of the dimensions to features in the metal. That's what allows us to make it an assembly. It's a cleat system. So that allows for, a full finish package, including the rough content, to be delivered to a site. The only way that we know that this box will be exactly where we want it to be is if it's part of the feature of the wall. We basically took our model-based content and transferred it, instead of into plans, into a shadow board. So it's laser etched, and it just allows a nice fit check, because how it gives us the ability to put a lot of features into this, but you can see this is a very dense assembly. We take out so much material for the routing that we'll add it back in custom blocking that will interact with all of these dimples and allow us to keep, the 4 connections all the way up, very tight in our tolerance.
So is this in every module, or is this a practice model here?
The etching would be part of the workstation. So this whole wall would just basically be set up like this, worked in static position in front of the etching, and then moved out.
All right, Chad and Wade, thank you for your time here. So tell us a bit about yourselves and what you do in the company and what it does.
Chad Bowker, I'm CEO, Capsule. Started the company in 2015. And my background, I have an undergrad in business. I have a master's in finance. And I worked for Boeing on the space and defense side for, in total, about 15 years. Mostly in supply chain. And it was actually where I first heard the term design for manufacturing assembly. And Boeing was going through a large effort to take what was normally procured material, turned it into a defined part, buy that part, bring it in, quality control it, and give it to someone on a production line who could assemble it. And in that way, they would be able to turn on a lot more of their workforce that was available to do assembly. And we had a lot of skill at the company, but attrition, retirement was taking people off the production line. So my focus on that led me to this alignment one night. In a little bit of an odd way, I made a coffee cart for my church, and I was doing it at night, and I rented a small garage, basically industrial unit, and I had the welding helmet on, and I was working at Boeing during the day, and I'd known Wade through friends, but he wanted to come by. It was nighttime. He wanted to come by and talk to me about a business idea that he had, and he wanted to, I think it was import export, and I didn't know much about that, but I was talking to him about it. He looked at what I was building and just said, hey, I could model this for you, and we could make it more manufacturable. And in that moment, I think it started to align what I was doing during the day and what I was doing at night, taking built environment and making it manufacturable. And yeah, that was roughly 2015.
That's how Capsule was born.
That's right.
Both of you in the garage trying to make a coffee cart.
Yeah.
What about you, Wade? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my background's in mechanical engineering, so that's
Yeah.
what my undergrad's in. Went
Yeah.
to UC San Diego. It's actually my connection to Chad was one of my roommates was one of his childhood friends. First job was also in defense. I was working for a company called L3, and right away jumped into, seeing what a career and in the defense world was like as an engineer, and I was quickly kind of unenthused, let's say. So it did make me start kind of looking and saying, I have all this energy, I have all this, all these interests. I just need to apply it to something. Looking back, I'm very fortunate that, not all new engineers get this opportunity to be right up against a manufacturing floor. So you
Right.
get that immediate design feedback, parts not going together, those kind of things, working for, essentially designing for people that are going to be assembling these things. So I was well aware of DfMA. That's my background, mechanical design, manufacturing. That was, already very much, it was kind of the only way I knew how to operate. So when I came across Chad, so he was doing it, I was like,
Dude,
it's great.
come on.
Let me apply this to something way more interesting. So that's kind of where it started.
This is a bit of a segue. Why were you making a coffee cart?
They needed one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They
They
came
needed
to you,
one.
go make one.
Yeah, they needed one. And even before Boeing, I thought maybe I would start my own coffee business, my own coffee house. And so I just had an interest in coffee, and I think people at the church knew that, so they asked me, and I liked building things, so I started building it. And
Because in the early days of Capsule, you were doing stands for coffee places.
yeah,
Is that what you call them?
that's right.
Coffee bars.
Coffee bars.
Bars. Yeah, there you go.
It evolved from there because, food service there's a lot of equipment. To feed the equipment, you
Yeah.
need a lot of electrical and plumbing. There's a lot of density.
Yes.
So there's coordination that could happen
Yes.
or not happen.
Yes.
There's finish. And so you put all of those together and you have this really dense multi-trade space. And the other benefit to doing coffee houses and restaurants is it's always a tenant improvement. So the project size, it's usually a single owner
Yes.
that we can go, talk across the table, convince to let us
Yeah.
give them a full product. We can convince people. It was just the perfect training ground
Yes.
because the projects were small, really complicated, and it let us work out a lot of our parts.
So how did you end up with a factory? Is that so which came first, the factory or work in making these coffee bars?
Slowly but surely, we hired one or two, our first couple employees, and the whole, DfMA was, can we make these parts in such a way that, our first employees could put these together.
Yeah.
And so we had to, have a little jump in scale, and that's kind of where we, it was still a very small operation. It was still, I don't know at that point, couple, 800 square feet or something at the time.
It was really difficult to start because we're designing things that are to be made in a distributed manufacturing network, had to be distributed because we had no machines. So everything was machine code that we'd send to people that had machines that you see out on our production floor now.
Right.
We'd rent time, job shop. We'd get them to make our parts.
Got it.
And then we'd bring the parts back and say,
Yes.
shoot, they don't fit. Or they do fit,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But we'd always try to simplify the process. So
Yeah.
in the early days, we tried to have everything be a fastened assembly
Yeah.
because we didn't want to weld. We didn't want any complicated processes.
Yep.
We wanted to just be a kit of parts that, essentially had some low fidelity drawing that they could kind of get it together and, put it together with some basic hand tools.
Is there any milestones? So from moonlighting to your first couple of employees, and then what?
Over the first 5 years of the company, in 2015 to 2020, we basically took over about another 1,000 square feet or so every year.
Oh, great.
in a
Yep.
multi-tenant building.
Sure.
Really, like we just took over the unit next door and the unit next door. And in 2021, we got the opportunity to expand. We had a strategic customer that could give us basically a program of demand that allowed us to get into this building. And so 2021, we moved in here, and it gave us the ability to put a lot more revenue through the company, get our our own equipment,
Yeah.
outfit a factory, and really we had to focus on delivering through that program. But it also, having our own equipment allows us to quickly iterate on parts much more quickly. The residential line for Glide that you saw out there, we started development on in 2023, and within a couple of years had some serious deliveries, where the first 5 years it took us a long time to make that commercial
Yeah.
product.
How did you move into the lights of bathroom module and sort of being part of the construction industry?
The category path was hospitality. We call that food service. And then from there, we would do adjacent things. So we went into workplace, and that's food service, but for employees, break spaces. And there would be rooms within these facilities that, whether you need to provide like a quiet space for a mother or something like that,
Sure.
we would get to do things like that.
Uh-huh.
And so that became a category for us, workplace. And then from there, we knew that we wanted to do something in healthcare. For us, the entry point was casework. And that's kind of true for us across the board. Casework is an entry point where you can make a first product impact, and then once you have some demonstrated traction, get the operators to trust you with something else. Because I'll say over the last 5 years, 6, 7 years, that's been our main talking point with customers. Is everyone has their experiences of products that they've tried or companies that they've tried to use and have some kind of failure.
Yeah.
And they're like big failures. And so we have to talk about that in every meeting. If we can get something that builds trust, then we can get another shot. And most of our customers are repeat.
Oh, that's great. Why did you choose healthcare?
First into food service, and
Yes.
then because there's not a lot of coordination, but we could make a big impact by coordinating all of it.
Yes.
In the dollar per linear foot, that has a much higher number when you make all of that coordination into one thing. In healthcare, it's lower, but it's still much higher than residential, because healthcare in the requirements would have certain angles of the cabinets that would need to, not accumulate something on the top of it. It would just be a high spec level. The materials used, the way that it interacts or locks, it allows you to distinguish yourself and get a certain revenue per linear foot. Both of those things, just kind of allowed for us to get a lot of experience and develop, a highly tested residential line. That if we would have started there, it would have been hard for us to do enough of the development.
Got it.
Well, and like really hard to compete at a price level because, they're always,
Of course. Yeah.
race to the bottom on all of that stuff.
Got the cabinet or the chassis of everything, the enclosures as well. Do you also put in all the MEPs as well? Because healthcare MEPs so specific, right? Because they're everything all integrated into one patient room. Is that sort of where do you start and where do you stop?
We have done wall panels with full MEP in them for healthcare. We actually did it in partnership with another Howick company, Blocks. We had a lot of info share. We had a lot of mentorship from Blocks.
That's nice.
And we actually worked together, some of our products and some of theirs, on hospital remodels. And so that was another path for us in, where we got to use our casework and learn from Blocks on how they do really everything in healthcare.
Yeah. So do you work closely with the GC as well when it comes to installation and all that stuff?
At times we do install. We have an installation license for our casework if we need it. In the bathroom pod, we might be present, but we wouldn't be the doers of the install. A bathroom pod going into a facility, it matters the quantity that you're doing. We've done like a single building install. That might be a lot of prep work, and then we're on site
Yes.
for the installation.
Yes.
If it's a high quantity of repetitions, often we've coordinated so much more that we wouldn't need to be there to actually do it.
Yeah.
Our focus in using Howick and using any of our machines is to design a product, something that can be procured as a product in the market. And that procurement path is very well defined for casework, kitchen systems, even if you wanted to include finish. To make a bathroom pod in the US, we don't procure those. We have this list called the CSI index. It separates all of the different trades. A bathroom pod would be kind of like an elevator. It would be like an other thing.
Okay.
Right? And so those are project to project still.
Got it. Okay. So what is your focus? You've kind of mentioned that just now. Is really to productize casework, and then hopefully get a designer, architect, or specifier to go, yep, we want this, and this, and we want casework from Capsule to go into that. Is that how you envision your business going towards?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
To get a product so well defined that it's adopted and put into the specifications of whatever the assembly is.
Yes.
And so to do that, your product just has to be really impactful.
Yes.
It has to really change how the whole thing goes together. And so bathroom pods may, do that for some projects.
Yes.
But that's still a project to project.
Okay.
So we maintain those lines, but it's not yet a market level product where we can say this is available and the awareness is very high and architects are specifying it and we are in production on it outside of just a project.
You've taken it to market. How do you spread the word, and do you talk to GCs? Do you talk to architects? How do you sort of get people to adopt products into their buildings?
Great question.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we spent so much time developing products, which is really big, So, I mean, we have all of these, we like to call it reps, I mean, we've taken these, really difficult coordination areas, right? We've created these components. So all of that, essentially, all that hard work that we have done is now memorialized in 3D space.
I like that word.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
So it would be a shame to not take that and repurpose it.
Yeah.
And I mean, construction just by its nature is unfortunately, start from scratch too often, even when architects have their standards and they pull from their own old projects for some reason, like standardization as just across the industry, the adoption of it has been it just hasn't happened. Right. So we're trying to invert that a little bit and say, instead of trying to essentially follow kind of the typical trajectory of how a construction project in a building is constructed, where we usually see it at the end, where it's, 100% CDs or, late SDs, where it's hard to influence design. We're trying to influence, essentially the adoption of these products early on and then let that flow from there. So that way the benefit of that is realized by the project. It's not an afterthought. It's actually kind of the building blocks.
Yes.
And so, that's a bit of an uphill battle. But I think a lot of people are coming around to seeing the value of it. But you got to have some, some portfolio pieces to kind of prove the point, which we now have. So we have a lot of great relationships across the industry and a lot of people excited about, moving that direction. I just, we're in the early phases of that, but we see things, headed the right way.
Glide casework is applicable to healthcare specifically only, or?
No, we have it for
Across
all of our categories. So,
yeah.
Still operating in, we'll call it food service or hospitality.
Yes.
In workplace.
Yes.
In healthcare.
Yes.
and in housing.
Housing. Let's talk about roll forming. I mean, you've got a number of machines out there. You guys are not all about steel framing, but you use the Howick machines to form the chassis for the products that you put out there. So what got you onto roll forming? I mean, is that something that you already knew about, or somebody told you something about it and then you decided to investigate?
We were looking at doing some type of multi-trade, panelized,
Yeah.
volumetric component at the time. And so, I mean, us just being in sheet metal all day, every day,
Yeah.
like, let's just make it out of sheet metal. Let's just
Yeah.
bend it on our press brakes.
Yeah.
And I was running the numbers and I was like, man, this is so expensive. You know, you can go buy these studs at Home Depot. It's ridiculous. So I think I was just like Googling steels, like sheet metal studs or something. And I don't remember exactly how I got there, but I stumbled.
Sheet metal stuff. I gotta put that in my keywords for SEO. No.
But essentially, I found a Howick YouTube video,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What is this
Yeah.
magic? This
Yeah.
is so cool!" I remember getting like super excited about it. I mean, I showed it to Chad, and we were just like, "Dude, we got to talk to these people." So that was our first foray into just even knowing it as a technology. But
Yeah.
it was one of those things like, man, if I had this thing that like took sheet metal and like turned it into a stud really easily, that would be really cool.
There it
and
is.
Then someone beat me to it. So
Did you look at other brands as well, or sort of?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Makes
pretty
sense.
quick to call Howick specifically, just because I mean they had a lot of great content. I talked to. I mean, I think I actually called. I think it was JD.
Yeah.
Initially, I think I might
Yes.
have put in like an inquiry, but he picked
Yeah.
up the phone right away, and I
Yeah.
mean, he's just been an incredible resource. And yeah, I mean, from there I did do some like investigating, but kind of from the beginning, I was
Yeah.
pretty sold on Howick as a company, just from all the information that you guys
Sure.
had out there. I mean, the people that you staff, and now like the machines speak for themselves. And
Oh, great.
I mean, the more I know, the more I'm just very glad that we went that direction early on.
That's good to hear. Tell me about the people. People are obviously the ones that, I mean, you have the machines, but you need the people to put things together. How do you develop a culture, and sort of tell me about your culture here?
I think that we look for people who are excited
Yeah.
to work in an area of construction that is, we think, gonna grow. We want people that are going to be proud to be on, a team that is doing something that is hard and has some kind of a mission behind it. So, all of our categories, people can get excited about, one thing or another. Some people might be interested in the fact that we do housing, or the fact that we do like a cool restaurant. We're in healthcare. And there's some kind of meaning behind
Yes.
designing the assemblies that will be used in the future of construction. I think that enthusiasm mixed with a lot of ownership. We want to focus on real products, real things that we've delivered, real revenue, that obviously we think could grow, over the coming years, but
Sure.
being focused on getting to a repeat customer, having a happy, customer interaction. That's why, everyone that works in our engineering office is 10 times a day going to the production floor.
That's good.
That level of, you got to have excitement for
Yes.
that, and you have to want to own
Yes.
that responsibility. That's who we look for, and those are the things we kind of reinforce with people.
That's cool. I like that you have glass window to the factory, so you're not shut off. You can see
Right.
what's going
Right.
on out there too, and get interested maybe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
I mean, and just even like, yeah, there's a separation here, but it's not like it's production and everyone on the inside. It's got to be the, I tell my guys all the time, like, your job is to help them.
Yes.
And if you need something, you go grab them.
We do want to build a team here and have, just a very sharp, very capable
Yeah.
group. And we expect a lot out of people,
Sure.
but we tell them where we're going and why we want to do it and why we think it's a good idea, and just invite them. And if they get excited about it, that's all we need. In construction, that line of demarcation is intent, in the US at least, is intent in the design side versus means and methods on the construction side. And so when we see people who come from traditional construction, they're from one of those sides.
Yeah.
Either in architecture, they'll say, this is my design, but you can make it however you like. Or they'll say, this is my trade scope on this side, and this is how I do it.
Yeah.
And so often we'll hire from outside of both of those.
I mean, both of you are not from the construction industry when you started this. So, I mean, look at what you've developed. Tell me what your clients like most about doing business with you.
Always the product. If it didn't work, we wouldn't get a call.
Yep.
And then after that, like the basics of ownership, we've had several times where we receive like a nasty gram from a customer, and it's a list of disappointments. Right? It could be a small thing.
Yeah.
To us. It could be a big thing to them. We could think, in the grand scheme of us going from, workplace through into housing, and we're developing this product, that is very small. But to them, this is their one build and one project representing what they do for work.
Sure.
And so it could be very big for them. And all we have to do is kind of apologize, take ownership, fix it.
Yeah.
And so that's how, we've had several of those, even from customers. That's how we get repeat customers.
Yeah. Because you fix things. And nothing is ever perfect. We get that a little bit sometimes too. But as long as you're willing to fix and work with them, isn't it? That's what they want. And for you to empathize with them and realize that this is a big deal for them.
Yeah.
Last question, direction of the company, aspirations, vision. What do you see yourself doing?
Glide as a category, that's our casework system that encompasses all the finishes and adjacent walls.
Yeah.
We want that system to be used in residential across production builders, builders that build the same homes. It's ready-made for industrialization. And it has to start from a product that can easily be adopted. And then you can build trust. You have to build trust over some kind of adoption path, because of all the things that we've all experienced, we have to build that trust back. It's not there.
Yeah. Okay.
So production builders using our products, developing more products, things that are a finished, available product ready for you to buy.
Okay.
Using all of the machines out there to make parts that feed assemblies.
Yes. As you go out and as you supply and you see your clients and what the work they do, they may ask you to produce something that eventually becomes productised. That's kind of what happens to Howick too. It's like customers come to us and say, I need this, and then it becomes part of the product. So I think it's great to go down that track because you never know what you're going to get to. Thank you guys, Chad, Wade.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.